Something that crops up in quite a lot of these video blogs I do is the difficulties that occur when people involved in a recruitment process don't give a lot of feedback on what's been going on. One of the things I'm going to talk about, or the thing I'm going to focus on today, is post-interview feedback. It's really, really frustrating for recruiters, but actually much more importantly, the candidates, the individual job seekers, when they don't get a lot of feedback on the interview they've been to. Now, and sometimes this even happens when you've done well in an interview. The feedback might simply be, yes, we're going to move on to the next stage. Well, that's obviously a good thing, but it doesn't necessarily give the candidate or the recruiter too much information as to why that is. And that seems to me to be a mistake. It will be good to know what you've done well. And importantly, of course, if there's anything that you can improve upon or work upon, then it's absolutely vital to know that. But this happens quite a lot. You know, I'll get feedback which just simply says, yep, great, move on to the next stage, Mark. And as if that's kind of enough. Now, of course, if it's going to be a no, then I would argue it's even more important that you should provide some feedback, because A, the poor candidate doesn't know, and nor does the recruiter, why it's a no. They are left guessing as to what went wrong or what they didn't do well enough in the interview. Please just share that with them. Again, I know everyone's busy, and I know there's an element of, well, if we're not going to bother with this person, why am I spending time on them? But I just think employers have got to get past that. If you've brought somebody in and they've given up enough of their time, yes, you've given up your time too, absolutely. But the candidate has given up their time. They hopefully at least have prepared really strongly. If they haven't, let's damn well nail them on that in the feedback. But assuming they have put their time in, then I think they deserve it. The least they deserve is some genuine and detailed feedback as to what they did, what was good, bad, and indifferent about their interview. Now, the other point that tends to get lost in all this is not only do you make that candidate feel better, and you may well give them some constructive critique that's useful, and that in itself should be a good enough reason for doing this, but the other thing, if you want to be a bit more selfish about it, employers, is to think about it this way. If you don't give that person a good outcome, that's fine, that can happen. If you don't get the job, there's a degree of, I'm disappointed. But if you handle that candidate in the right way, even if you don't give them the job, they will have good things to say about your organisation. And as we all know, bad news or criticism travels a lot further and a lot faster, typically, than good news and praise. So if you want to, piss somebody off, great, don't give them any feedback. Leave them guessing. Leave them feel like they've wasted their time with no real sense of what they can work on for the future, and you can be sure they will share that with people in your industry. And these things do happen, and you do get rumours that go around the traps of companies who just aren't very, very good with candidates. And you don't want to be one of those companies. So if someone's coming to see you, you've given up some time already. That time's already been spent. So they've given up some time. Just spend a few minutes after that giving them some meaningful feedback, whether it's directly to them, whether it's through a third party like me. That's fine. The format doesn't matter. But make sure you give them some meaningful, constructive, useful feedback. It will bear dividends for your company, I promise. Okay, thanks very much for that one, employers.